Hey, thanks for checking out the Ham and Spam Retro Review. If you like what you hear, please remember to subscribe, leave a like, or leave a comment, whatever platform you listen to this on.
And also remember, there's always additional content on our website, hamandspam.com, where you can find links to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoy it.
For even more content, check out our friends Nick and Brandon over at their podcast, Talk or Go Home.
Diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity dog.
All right, here we are.
Here we are. Who would have thunk it?
Not me.
Welcome to episode number 38 of the Ham and Spam Retro Review.
Oh, it is 38?
It is 38. I'm pretty sure it's 38. I should probably research these things before we hit record.
I'll take your word for it.
Episode 38, one of the all-time greatest wrestling games of all time.
If not the greatest. Many would argue that.
Quite possibly. Many would argue that. Between this and probably SmackDown 2, Here Comes the Pain with... No, it's not. It's SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain with Brock Lesnar on the front. But this game is...
WWF No Mercy.
You stressed the F there, buddy.
Yeah, well, that was... If you look for WWE No Mercy, you're not going to find it.
Yeah, you'll never find that game. This game is exclusive to the N64.
Which had the best wrestling games.
It really did, for the genre, for the time, for the playability, for the mainstreamness that wrestling was at this time.
Yeah, this was the Attitude Era.
Yeah, because PlayStation had Nitro, which was awful. It had Thunder, which was awful. It had WCW versus the World, which was okay. It kind of had the grapple system that
that was made by the same company, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, it was by
THQ.
THQ. Yeah.
They did WCW versus the World on PS1, which is a fantastic game.
It is, and that's kind of the PlayStation equivalent to WCW versus the World on the Nintendo 64.
Right, or WCW versus NWO World Tour.
Right, I'm sorry.
Which was my first introduction to these games.
You know, it was mine too. I remember spending the night at a buddy's house from school, and we played this game all night long, got about 4 hours of sleep, and then played it more when we got up the next day.
Was that buddy's name Hammy?
It was Hammy, and it was actually Daniel Cole from high school back in the day.
So Daniel Cole,
yep,
good guy.
Yep, very good guy. But yeah, I remember playing this over at his house, and all I wanted to do was play with Sting, and I was terrible with the controllers, because when you pick up a Nintendo 64 controller, and if you've ever played any other game, you use the analog stick. So I kept wanting to use the analog stick instead of the D-pad, and it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, the N64 controller can be a little difficult to approach.
Well, it can be, especially when you didn't have it. And that's probably the biggest critique that I have with this game is I didn't play it a whole lot, except like when I went to your house. Well, I've never played No Mercy until today. I've played the other games like it. I've played World Tour for N64. I think I've played a little bit of Revenge, but not a whole lot. I've never played No Mercy. I've never played
WrestleMania 2000.
Those are the ones that are kind of the it factor for this system.
Well, the thing about when you play this game, you actually hold it the way most people try to hold it the first time they pick up an N64 controller. You got your left hand on the far left, whatever that is, the prong, maybe. Sure. And then your right hand on the far right one. So you got your thumb over the D-pad. You know, occasionally you need the stick, but the stick's only used sparingly.
Right.
So you're not holding it the typical way with the left hand in the main prong there.
Right.
I wonder if there are any games where you can play it like this.
Gosh, I
The
hope
right
not.
hand on the center prong.
Well, you know what's
I keep
funny?
calling it prong. I don't know what else to call it.
Ear handle. That's probably
Handle,
it.
okay.
There you go. It's funny though for his batter rep that the Virtual Boy gets. If we were to pull that Virtual Boy controller down here, it mimics that controller a lot. Minus that center analog stick, that's it. For some reason, Virtual Boy had 2 directional pads on. I'll still never understand that one. But yeah, this right here, when you hold it the way you were just holding it, it is basically a Super Nintendo controller on steroids. It's got an extra button or 2 buttons.
A couple of extra buttons, yeah.
So, good design. I thought that it felt pretty good when you held it. You know, either that center handle or the outside handles. I mean, the curvature of it, everything, it fit like it was supposed to. It was just weird.
I think that just goes to show that THQ knew what they were doing when they made these games.
I think so. And obviously, these games got better the more they made. So when they started out with World Tour and went forward, they got better and better and better.
Well, it's funny because I loved World Tour. I loved Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And then THQ then went over to WWF.
Right.
And so then WCW Mayhem
Oh, gosh.
was the next
That was EA, right?
N64. No, maybe.
I think it was EA.
It was the next N64 WCW game to come out. And in my mind, I'm thinking it's going to be just like World
The
Tour
others.
Revenge.
Absolutely.
So I was so psyched for it. And I probably put about 10 to 15 minutes in that game. And that's all I needed. That was horrible. So even though N64 has the best wrestling game, it has a couple of the worst ones too.
Yeah, it does.
It's got that. It's got WWF Raw. Or not Raw, Warzone.
Warzone. Was Warzone, did it come out for N64?
It did.
It came out for PlayStation first, I believe, as did Attitude, and they were terrible. Those were Acclaim games, if I'm not mistaken. And then Mayhem came out. I knew you were done with Mayhem because at the time one of your favorite wrestlers was Rey Mysterio Jr.
Yeah.
It's back when he was still Junior, not just regular Rey Mysterio 619. And during the storyline, they had unmasked Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, and you can put in a code to get Masked Little Ray.
Because that's the code.
Yeah,
without the vowels.
But hey, it also had the Raging Cage and Lash LaRue in it, so that's a plus.
Sure.
Shifty eyes. We went to the same college.
But so we've basically talked about the history of the video games. Let's dive into this one. Wow, there's a lot there. The creator wrestler. One thing that we did first of all when we played, we created Ham and Spam and took on the tag team champions.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when these games started, you had World Tour had no creator wrestler whatsoever
at all.
The Revenge you could rename wrestlers.
Right, you didn't have a creator wrestler per se, but you could take the existing wrestlers and edit them and change names and make them into.
That's why Ultimo Dragon became Ultimo Hammy. Then WrestleMania 2000, which was their first WWF game, which is also a great game.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it too. It introduced the creator wrestler, and I loved that. I caught on to that instantly because I've always wanted to put myself in that world. I mean, who doesn't want to be a professional wrestler at some point?
Absolutely, man.
And then No Mercy comes out, and they just perfected it.
Yeah, I mean, 2020 Clint can look at it and say, "Oh, this game would be great if it had X, Y, and Z." But even if you take those X, Y, and Z things out, you couldn't really ask for a better wrestling game.
You couldn't.
From the creative moves, or not the moves, that's the one thing I wish that it did have. The creator wrestler to all the stuff that you could have to all the unlockables. I wish the it creates replayability in a wrestling game for you to have the unlockables because you got to go through and quote unquote earn money to unlock these different things.
Right.
Minus the one little minor glitch.
Not a minor glitch. Well, let's work our way to that. First, let's go back. When you first turn it on, you've got your matches. You've got, of course, your exhibition match.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, you can do, a whole multitude of different scenarios. You got your 1-player versus 2-player. Of course, it's up to 4-player.
Sure.
You have your handicap match. Now, I'm not certain, but I think handicap match could only be 1 and 2 versus 2 versus 1. I don't think you could have a 4 versus 1
or 3 versus 1.
You could have guest referee.
Okay.
And you could be a guest referee.
Right.
And that was fun.
Because you just refuse to count.
Right.
And people get mad
And
at
you could fast count, you could slow count.
Right.
Of course, you had your ladder matches, your table matches. I think Hell in a Cell was on there. We should have turned it on. Is it on?
It's on. I'd have to hook the Mac up. Keep going, and I'll hook that up so it comes through.
So you had a whole ton of matches that you could choose from to do, and within those, of course, you had your match rules, your disqualification, yes or no. Your blood, you could turn to first blood if you wanted.
Great movie.
Yeah. Your count out time, stuff like that. Your tag teams, you could have no tag, so you're both in there the entire time. There it is. Clint is right now hooking it up so I can see it and actually look at this stuff as I'm.
Yeah, he's a very visual guy, and of course
actually,
we didn't take.
I'm not able to control anything apparently. I'm doing stuff and nothing's happening. I'm pressing things.
Is it mine that needs to be done too? Let's hit reset.
All right. So Clint's got it hooked up now.
This game came out in 2000, by the way. When we fired it back up, we remembered that part.
We completely forgotten. Also, by the way, go check out our YouTube video. We defended our tag team titles our imaginary tag team titles
against the Rock and Sock Connection. They didn't stand a chance, guys.
That's right. By the way, commentating a wrestling match is hard.
It is hard. A lot of respect for those guys that do it. Anything with sports, because there's some blank spots in our matches where we just kind of stop talking.
Well, I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm watching a match, and it's a match I've already lived.
Yeah, true.
All right, so you start off. You got your exhibition match. I talked about that. You got your Royal Rumble. You can have how many superstars in there you want. The rules. You can put a belt up for it. I don't know how this guy. First of all, I don't know how he's got the world title and it's still saved.
Right.
And I don't know how I have it already. But by gosh, that's the Big Eagle belt. That's my favorite one.
Oh yeah.
Big Eagle, then Winged Eagle for me.
Yeah, I like the Big
Gold
Eagle.
was nice too.
I like the Big Gold. It was very classic as well. But I think I like the Winged Eagle more than I like the Big Eagle.
All right,
for those of you that don't know, go Google that. That's a whole. You gotta be a wrestling nerd to know what we're talking about.
So you got a pay-per-view. You can design a pay-per-view. You name the event, the arena, the venue.
So hold on. You could actually put a match in Birmingham, Alabama, if you wanted to.
You can. You can put a match in
Slasham Valley.
Yeah, in Asheville, Alabama.
Well, there you go. Okay,
at Asheville High School.
There you go.
Have Action Mike Jackson. If you want to create him. Number of matches. You can have a King of the Ring tournament to set up. Your guest referee match, your ladder match, an Iron Man match. Okay, so maybe not a table match. I was thinking that's what that was, but Iron Man match.
So the SmackDown game that we reviewed all the way back in episode 9, I believe, it had the TLC matches, the table matches, and all of that. And I believe that game came out in 2001. So, we're not too far away from that era of WWE, WWF.
Right. And then, of course, you got your single play, which involves the championship, which is where you compete for different championships, the actual titles. That's where you get some of your money you can spend in the SmackDown Mall.
Right. And
you've got your survival. Your survival is basically a battle royal. It is a 40-man battle royal. It's not the Royal Rumble.
Oh, okay.
The last guy to come out is Andre the Giant. If you can beat him, you unlock him.
Okay.
I have never unlocked him.
Really?
And all the times I played, I've gotten to come out 2 or 3 times, and then I would get eliminated.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he just that good?
Oh, he was never the one who eliminated me.
Oh,
it was usually someone else. But yeah, it broke my heart. But I'll get to that later. Then you've got the SmackDown Mall, which is where you can buy your extra like clothing items, moves, characters. There's Shawn Michaels. You have to buy Shawn Michaels. He costs $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
Just while I was wanting, I ordered a Game Shark for N64 because I wanted to unlock everything.
Holy crap! Earl Hebner's in there. You can buy Earl Hebner.
He's only $10,000. He's pretty cheap.
For those of you that don't know, Earl Hebner was the classic referee for WWE with the twin, the fake referee back in the day with Hogan and, Andre.
Was he the one that was with did the Montreal screw job?
He was the one that did the screw job. And he actually lost his job in WWE for selling unlicensed merchandise.
Wow.
They basically were making shirts and selling them, outside the arena for pennies on the dollar compared to WWE, and pocketing all the money. They got caught.
Dang. And this is where you can create a superstar. You can
edit
create
a
a stable.
Okay.
Like we've got our ham and spam stable,
Right.
of course. And if you have a controller pack, which has a memory card that plugged in on the controller,
Right.
that's where you could save stuff.
Well, that's kind of how you got around some of the
glitch.
The glitch.
I'll talk about the glitch. I don't have the game, but I showed you on the front at the bottom. It has, I think it's NUS whatever USA.
Right.
Now that's the game that shipped to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And that game came with a glitch that if you won the world title, it erased all your save data.
Right.
That happened to me so many times. I didn't know what was happening. I was like, why are all my guys gone?
Right.
Because I put in so much time creating, I know you and me and all our friends from high school.
Sure.
We had an awesome stable called the Revolution. We were all in camo. And they kept getting erased. So finally, I happened to have a memory card. I would copy them over to that memory card. And I would play. I'd win the world title. Everything's gone.
Reload memory card.
And it just, I could never figure out what was going on. Well, back then, of course, you're not online, so you don't have patches.
Because we're old.
Right. You can't sign in to Xbox Live and there's a patch that fixes this game.
Sure.
So the only thing they could do is fix it
with a new cartridge.
Yeah. And so they had the new cartridge. They released those later. And whereas that cartridge says NUS blah, 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 USA, the fixed one says USA-1.
So it's the revision 1 kind of.
Right. And they were apparently rare. They apparently did not come out as much or release as many of those.
They'll probably come out later in the life after the sales had started going down. And
they did
getting the
they made
feedback.
Yeah, they made ever so how many cartridges with the glitch and sold those. And I was wanting to get one of those cartridges for our ham and spam copy.
Well, rare. When you said rare, that tells me that it's expensive.
Well, that copy there that we just played on,
right,
was $20 on eBay.
Okay, that's about right.
A USA-1. It's about $600.
Good, not for a wrestling game.
For a 20-year-old wrestling game.
Like, I can understand a special edition Zelda to an extent.
They're not even that high.
But I don't get a wrestling game.
It's so rare, and I guess it's just something that, a lot of people, I guess, probably used a workaround like I did, or just don't win the world title, which is why I'm surprised the world title's unlocked on here.
Maybe there was a workaround for this guy that had it before you.
Maybe so, but he did it somehow.
Well, but basically what you did when we created ourselves on this particular game, you took his save file or save guy and just made yourself.
Right. I copied myself over his save guy.
Right.
So that's how
you've got it.
I was instantly the world champion.
So just keep it, and that way you can keep it for yourself and say, "Hey, look, I'm actually the world champion, and it did not glitch out."
Right. I'm the world champion. So yeah, that's the backstory for No Mercy.
So real quick, while we still got the game fired up and we're sitting here looking at all this stuff, can we kind of go through the roster? I know we did with, with 2001 with SmackDown 2. This is pure blown Attitude Era. I mean,
yes,
this has got the three. I know two of the faces of Foley with Mankind and Cactus Jack as an unlockable character. I don't know about Dude Love. I'll have to do a little.
I would say that WrestleMania 2000 is actually the better Attitude Era roster.
Okay.
Because right here, you have Undertaker.
And this is American Badass Undertaker.
Right.
This isn't Undertaker.
And you had Ministry Undertaker in WrestleMania 2000.
Is there a different type when you go to the type for Undertaker?
Yeah. There's old school right there. I think, maybe it was some other game that had the really old school Undertaker with the purple gloves.
Oh, I remember that one.
And also, this is post DX Triple H.
Right.
So this is, and I don't know, for me, when I think Attitude Era, I think DX, I think Ministry.
Right.
I think all that. This is just a little
So that would
bit
have been
behind it.
98, 99. Obviously, this is a little bit past that.
Right. And before him, too, I think Attitude Era. I don't associate him with Attitude Era.
No, because he was that 2001, or right before that 2001 WCW purchase. The person we're talking about, obviously, is Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
We all know what happened. We all know what he did. It's a travesty. It sucks. It's unthinkable. But for a review of the game, I mean,
He's in it.
He's
Nothing
in
to do
it.
about it.
That's what we're going to do. That's it.
So here's your roster. You got The Rock, Triple H, Stone Cold, Undertaker, Kane, Mankind,
The Ayatollah of Rock and Roll.
Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, Rikishi, who's also the father of the Usos.
How about that?
Sky Too Hottie, Grandmaster 6A. So feels weird saying it though.
It does.
I may bleep that. All right. Bubba Ray Dudley, Devon. You got your Hardy boys, Jeff and Matt. You got Edge, who is one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Christian, Taz, Eddie Guerrero, one of the greatest of all time.
Yes.
China. See, that's when those two were teamed up too.
Right.
You had your Acolytes, aka the APA, Farouk and Bradshaw, Dean Malenko, X-Pac, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, not known as Billy Gunn in this game, Stevie Richards, who is a great follow on YouTube, Stevie Richards Fitness.
Big YouTuber. I mean, YouTuber, big gamer too, is he not?
Yeah, he is. Gamer, podcaster. He's in a lot of that. Let's see. Bull, I don't remember him. Bull Buchanan.
Yeah, he's just a big guy that was in that Right to Censor. There's the...
You see, that was the Right to Censor era for The Godfather, too.
Yeah.
And also for Val Venus.
Right.
So let's see, he's got the Right to Censor.
And to me, that's why that wasn't as good during this time, because they took their quote-unquote gimmick away from them. It wasn't early 90s gimmick like the Red Rooster and Tatanka and the Goon and the plumber guy and all that kind of crap. This was, the porn star and the pimp. I mean, and they kind of took those away from them.
Test, Fat Albert, Steve Blackman, who, by the way, I've heard several wrestlers say you did not want to mess with
He's
him.
legit. He's a legit BA.
I've heard that he was laying down like after a match in the back one time, and Big Show come up messing with him, and he took Big Show down without ever getting up.
I would not doubt that a bit at all.
Al Snow,
Mm-hmm.
Taka Michinoku,
Takamichinoku.
Hardcore Holly, aka Bob Holly,
Mm-hmm.
Crash, Perry Saturn, S.A. Rios, D'Lo
S.A.
Brown, Mark Henry, Big Boss Man,
Mm-hmm.
British Bulldog,
British Bulldog.
Viscera. And then you had Stephanie McMahon, Tori. Who was it? That wasn't Tori Wilson.
No.
Trish Stratus. I don't remember the cat.
You don't remember the cat?
Terry. I remember Lita. I don't remember Ivory.
I remember Ivory.
Then he's got one unlocked character, Mick, just regular Mick Foley.
Right.
You could also get Cactus Jack and Dude Love.
Okay. Of course,
So,
the Hebners, or the Earl Hebner,
yeah,
Shawn Michaels.
yeah. There were some you unlocked by playing the championships.
I want to say the Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young were unlockable on
They
this.
They are.
So a lot of good hidden wrestlers.
Of course, Ham and Spam.
Of course. The first, 45 minutes of us playing this game was just creating ourselves. And I wanted to touch on that too, because man, that thing went into some depth.
It does. I mean,
for a 64 game.
A good creator wrestler will.
I mean, there was moves in the front, there's moves in the back, there's moves when they're sitting down, there's moves in the corner. I mean, this is the first time I really remember a creator wrestler going in this kind of, or a creative character going into this kind of depth. So,
Which, and like I've told you several times, I think a little later they start getting a little more in depth, like your Day of Reckoning games on GameCube.
Right.
But for like the newer ones, the 2Ks, it's just not.
it's not the same. And we'll get into that when we get into the comparison as
Yeah.
well. So
So that's your roster. Great roster.
Absolutely. Fantastic roster. One of the things that was so great about this game, in my opinion, though, was the gameplay. Obviously,
Top-notch.
obviously, we've said it before on this podcast where we don't really compare graphics then to graphics now because technology is so much different.
Although back then, like you're looking at Triple H, just like, my gosh, that looks just like him.
It looks just like him.
Though his
how
arm,
can this get any
his
better?
arm just temporarily detached. It looked like, yeah, look at
those
that.
shoulders right there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, back in the day, it was great. It was fantastic, but the graphics may not hold up as well today. But from a gameplay aspect, you could not beat this game. It's simple. It's fun.
It's the grapple system.
It's the old school grapple system.
Everything stems from either pressing A or holding A.
Right. So from there, you got up and A, down and A, left or A, right.
Just a million different things you can do.
Right.
Your standard moves, your Irish whips,
and your nays,
swapping around to behind them,
right,
throwing them out of the ring,
right,
picking them up on your shoulders. Just a ton of stuff you can do, and it's all very intuitive and easy to do.
Yeah. Whereas,
I mean, you've never played this game before, and you were fine with it.
Oh,
within,
absolutely,
like 10 minutes.
Absolutely. After I remembered how to tag and how to pin.
Yeah. And I remembered that the weapons were in the audience, not under the ring.
Yeah. If you go and look at our YouTube video, we do some pretty good commentary over where we talk about grabbing of all things. The first thing I pick up when I go to the crowd was a stinking water bottle. I don't know why, but it does damage. You can throw it at people and it does damage. But then the second thing I picked up was a bouquet of roses.
Well, I went to the SmackDown Mall and bought the, because this guy had like, what, $4,500?
$4,500 left over.
And I bought the fire extinguisher because I could have sworn you sprayed them with it. But I couldn't. If you can, I couldn't do it.
Well, and this right here is one of those games where it's fun for our purposes. It's fun, to create yourself, to wrestle a couple of classic iconic matches. Maybe you can kind of create some dream match scenarios. But for us, this isn't one of those games you're going to spend 40 hours playing through to try to get a review of it. It's just not. You can get the belt wherever you want to. You can unlock a couple of wrestlers that are.
That's not saying that you can't put 40 hours in it.
No, absolutely.
I've got no telling how many hundreds.
Oh, I know.
In this game.
I know. Between this and
but
Revenge,
it's so. I don't want to say simple because it sounds bad. It's so well done. It's
well designed, well thought out.
That you can get all you need for a review out of it and just one or two matches.
Oh, absolutely.
But you want to play more. It's great.
And I mean, and when it came to the control, it was the KISS aspect of it. It's keep it simple, stupid.
Right.
So, they didn't throw any mini games in it like the new games have. There's not this rating system where
also Shakespeare said it best. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication.
I like keep it simple, stupid because I'm from Alabama and that's what I can remember.
Oh, that's on you.
I know. So yeah, the controller system, I think it made the game, honestly. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously the characters and the match modes and the different things you can do helped that along the way, but I think the controls, because it was so simple.
And within the game, you had the momentum system.
Sure.
So you build up momentum. You got a bar that shows what your momentum is. The more momentum you have built up, which you get by doing big moves, and you get by doing taunts and appealing to the crowd.
Right.
The momentum meter gets a little bigger, and it starts turning red. Right.
Like a heartbeat.
It's like flashing. It'll start flashing. When it does, you hit your analog stick,
which is your taunt.
Right. To put you in your special mode. That's when you can do your finisher. You do a strong grapple, and then the analog do your finisher.
And what would you say that is? Probably 15 seconds, 20 seconds worth of special, maybe?
Yeah, about 10, 15 maybe.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can get, your special off. If you've got a top rope special, it gives you plenty of time to get the top rope and do it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You could do a special a couple of times. And the one thing that I always liked about it, and really it was back in the day, because, again, no internet, we're old as dirt when it comes to the internet being just readily available. It offered the Still a Move feature as well with the special. So if you're wrestling the iconic Rock versus Stone Cold match, and any of you've ever seen those, where the Rock had to beat Austin with a Stone Cold Stunner, and that's just what?
Yeah.
So
you can steal it,
and you could steal it and kind of relive some of those scenarios if this is your jam.
So yeah, if you're playing and your momentum, if you start getting beat and your momentum starts getting down, it'll go to like danger, and then losing it. When it's down to that, you're going to get pinned and you're going to lose.
Right.
Now, if you get pinned, your momentum's up, you're going to kick out. It's not like these new 2K games where you have to play
a mini game.
Oh God, it's terrible.
Yeah, you feel like you're trying to kick a ball in NCAA or Madden, like you have to get the little indicator right in the colored area to kick out. And literally, you and I talked about this, literally within 60 seconds of playing the game, you could lose a match because you didn't get into the, stop the bar in the colored area.
If you can get
correctly.
the game to start.
Well, that's a different issue. But I know from 2K16 up to 2K20, that's the way it is.
And it's terrible. The submission thing is stupid. They got
The
way
chain
too
wrestling,
complicated.
yeah, the chain they tried to make it too lifelike to the point they made it where it's not fun. And I think that's the issue with the games today.
Well, that's something else. If you take some people, some kids that they don't know any better, but you put No Mercy up against WWE 2K20, they're going to see 2K20 and it's got incredible graphics. The people actually look like themselves. They have all this music, the hoopla. They'll say, "Oh, that's the better wrestling game."
Right.
But
and with the updates within the year anyway, if somebody changes their music, there's an update for it, and then all of a sudden that character goes from old music to new music, or maybe they get a different T-shirt. So I mean, they're pushing the brand as they go.
Right, but you see that, and it's like it's realistic looking. You put it up against this with the blocky graphics, and this is 1,000 times better a wrestling game.
Yeah, in
than
my opinion,
anything
you
that
couldn't get any better than this.
Than WWE 2K whatever.
The only way you could get better than this is you combine the grapple system of this game and put it to the graphics of the newer games. And even then, I think it's going to be so out of place that it may not work.
I think it's all in how they make it, because I don't think this is motion capture.
No, absolutely not. But I don't think the other is either. I think it's you've got your computer generated, because how many bugs did we find or did we see in the 2K20 version where you can see the inside of people's legs and stuff and their eyeballs protruding out and people morphing through the ring. So I don't want to say that it's motion capture. I think maybe they take the pictures and stuff and kind of paste them on their computer.
No, it's motion capture.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't have thought that. Not in 2019, 2020.
And
but
there are several people that argue that motion capture has about ruined the video game industry.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it takes away from stuff like that. It takes away from some more artistic ways of doing it. It's kind of a cheaper, easier way to do things. But I mean, it's just, I don't know if you could do the same with that. I don't know anything about game development, but I would really like to see a game made now with this kind of system. And there are some of the Fire Pro games. Ever heard of those? Mm-hmm. I know New Japan was involved in one of those.
Right.
I have touched them very little, but Jeff swears by them.
Mm-hmm.
He says they're more
Who?
like this. Pastrami.
Oh,
Is it pastrami?
it is pastrami.
Yeah.
I said roast beef.
We need that printed.
We've got to get that out.
I can't do the names. Jeff. Everybody knows who Jeff is.
So I mean, going forward, we wrestled our match. We won. Obviously, spoiler alert for you on YouTube.
We kept trying to do the 3D.
Well, that's what I was going to say. One of the things that was pretty cool about this, you had the double team moves. And that's something that was missing from SmackDown 2. There was no double team moves. There was no stealing of moves. But like I told you, and maybe it's just a difference of opinion or what you grew up with. I like SmackDown 2, in my personal opinion, a little bit better than I did this game because of that momentum meter, where you get so much momentum, you can store that finisher for any time you wanted it. It could be out of the, RKO. It could be out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Instead of being, built up, you've got 15 seconds to hit it. But because of the momentum, if it's done correctly, you play the game correctly and it looks like it maybe would be in real life, you can make it look to where it looks like it's supposed to be at that moment as well. So, to each their own.
Yeah. I obviously prefer this one.
Sure. I mean, this is the one you grew up with. This is your nostalgia.
Yeah.
But,
I'm what? You froze up.
Well, I'm saying,
the 3D, we couldn't get it off because stuff kept happening. That's why a match that was supposed to be like 10 minutes ended up being 18 minutes.
Yeah, it was.
Apologize for that.
Yeah, we do apologize for that because you'll even notice it. We kept trying to set up for the 4D is what we call it, just because we wanted to be one better than the Dudleys.
Although me throwing the stairs up into the ring and hitting the rock, that was completely unintentional.
But you know what? It made for good comedy.
And the way we put him through the table was great.
You have to see that. If you go and watch the video, send us a tweet, send us something on Instagram, just Facebook, whatever, on social media.
Comment on the video. YouTube.
Comment on the video. Tell us.
That'd be even better. Yeah. That's much better than anything else, actually.
Well, yeah, right now, because we're trying to get it up and running. But yeah, just let us know what you think about it, and try to tag it with hashtag Ham and Spam. I'm dead set on getting that hashtag out.
Well, that's like a guy giving himself a nickname, Clint.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I just won't.
All right, forget it. We're not going to try to get hashtag Ham and Spam. If you want hashtag Ham and Spam and you're a listener, you do it.
Well, yeah.
Make a post, do hashtag Ham and Spam.
So that way we can find it, you can find it, everybody can find it.
And we're not giving ourselves a nickname. Also, comment on YouTube, because that's how we'll get more people drawn to our YouTube channel.
Okay. We'll go with it. I don't know how any of this crap works. I'm a redneck from Alabama. RTR.
So anyway, yeah, this is my favorite wrestling game. I've got a lot of great memories of this, and
I know you played
all the other
between
THQs.
this and Revenge. You played a lot of wrestling back in the, and this was back in the day. We don't have jobs. Parents, we're going to buy you one game a year, so you made the best out of what you had. Kind of issues, and besides Blockbuster, maybe.
No, I bought this for myself.
Well, no, I'm just saying outside of Blockbuster, you're going and renting a game from Blockbuster. Your parents buy this game, you're in it until they buy you another one.
Oh yeah, there was no. I'm gonna have 40 games to choose from.
Exactly.
But
60. What do these games run? $65-$70 at the time.
Yeah, they were expensive.
Yeah, these cartridge games were expensive, and I guess that can kind of lead to another thing. When you create a wrestler, you can go through the visuals and the audio. Obviously,
not the best quality.
Not the best quality. It's the mono system. We're sitting here watching Triple H do the whole, thing with his hands. Well, as you change it, I had no idea Triple H was that kind of tall. 6'4", Rock's 6'5".
Holy crap! Yeah, I didn't realize that either.
Austin 6'2". You don't really see that. I didn't.
Same height as. Oh gosh.
Kane's 7 foot. Undertaker 6'10". I always knew that Kane was bigger.
Yeah. We're the same height as Christian.
How about that? Matt Hardy 6'1". I mean, wrestlers are big guys. Don't get me
Jeff
wrong.
Jeff Hardy was that tall. I thought he was under 6 feet.
I thought he was too. Dude, Edge was 6'4" or is 6'4".
That can't be right.
Wow. Real quick, this is one of my favorite things whenever we go back and go through old wrestling games. Go back to that first list. All right, just let's count them right quick. None of the there's one of those that's deceased, and that would be Chris Benoit.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So there's one. Grandmaster Sex Ace deceased.
Yeah.
There's 2,
3, 4.
They're all still alive. Amazingly, Xbox still alive.
5.
5 in test. Taka's still around.
6.
Crash is gone.
Yeah. Is he?
I don't know about S.A. Rios.
7.
7 in the Boss
8.
Man. 8 in the Bulldog. 9 in Viscera. I think he's gone. He was 6'6". And that's it.
Okay.
That's it. So out of this, what would you say? 9, 18, 27. this 50-man roster roughly.
Yeah.
9 of them are deceased.
Yeah. And plus the
And-
unlocks.
Well, and real quick, who all's still wrestling?
Oh, that's a good one. That's there we go. Let's go back.
So technically, The Rock's not retired, but The Rock's not going to wrestle.
No.
Triple H is part time. Austin's gone. Undertaker's at best part time.
Those two are extreme part time. They're casual time.
Right. Same
He's
thing
retired.
with Kane, but he's
Retired.
kind of retired.
Still-
Jericho's still going.
He is. To his credit, even though I'm not an AEW fan.
Yeah,
He's 50 years
at
old.
50. Yeah. Angle up until here recently was fairly active. No.
He's coming back. I
Jeff
heard.
Hardy, Matt Hardy are both coming back. The Dudleys are out. Edge and
Dudley does.
Christian-
Bubba, I think, does a few indie shows.
Very few.
Christian's retired, I think.
Yeah. So we got Jeff, Matt, Jericho.
Billy Gunn.
I think he would be.
He's coming back. AEW.
Is he like good?
He's on team with his. He's that taunt.
Is
He's on team with his son. You've not heard that?
is he a
He still does indie stuff.
Okay. I'm sure Bull Buchanan's out. Al Snow is a trainer.
Yeah,
Have you seen him
Trainer.
lately?
I have not.
Al Snow,
Didn't
dude.
know.
Google a picture of Al Snow. Al Snow's freaking jacked to the wall, dude.
So only a few of these still wrestle.
Yeah, and it's sad too, man. Because this right here, we talk about nostalgia on here all the time. With video games, this right here is nostalgic to me, and it's just sad that all these guys have retired. I
Yep.
mean, and what they've put their bodies through, it's still real to me.
Well, all right. Well, that's
So-
No Mercy. I really love this game.
Do your rating for. I know we don't do a numerical rating, but
I mean, if I did a numerical rating as far as wrestling games, because I mean, when you get to this situation, it's like, okay, do you rate it as far as a video game compared to other video games, or
No.
as what it is as a wrestling?
it's got to be what it is, because it can't be.
You can't put it up against like a Mario or Zelda.
Well,
or
I mean,
something.
even if you put it in the genre, I mean, wrestling's got to be its own genre, because if you
Yeah.
put it in fighting, this isn't the same as Mortal Kombat.
as far
isn't
as
the same
wrestling
as-
games, it's 10 out of 10.
I give it a solid 9.5, but I don't know if there's a quote unquote perfect wrestling game either. This is as close as perfect as you can get. I will say
Yeah.
that. So
The bazooka bumped it up to 10 for me.
go to YouTube. You'll know what we're talking about. I cannot believe The Rock was 6'5". I'm sorry.
That's-
And 275.
That's crazy. That might be
So,
exaggerated.
I'd very seriously doubt the 275 is exaggerated. That guy is jacked. Dog,
Oh,
get
man.
out too.
And he's
So,
bigger now than he was then.
I know. He's probably bumping 300 right now.
Dude gets
Just
up at like
pure
4 in the
muscle.
morning to start working out.
Yeah. Dude, his regimen is crazy.
I only get up at 4 in the morning if there's a breakfast buffet involved.
And even then, it takes you an hour to get up.
even then, it's like, okay, what's on this buffet?
Yeah, there better be some red meat somewhere.
Well, actually, no.
Well, not anymore. Not anymore.
I don't get up anymore.
So,
All right.
anyway, we're gonna take a quick break. Maybe we'll put a song in here or something. I don't know. All right, so we're back, and before we jump into anything, last week, Hammy, you and I had talked about the particular guy on Facebook on one of the retro gaming groups that I'm a part of, where I was posting about our podcast, trying to plug it, get some more listeners, that kind of stuff. And like I said, it has helped. But he kind of called me out on it about, hey, you got a podcast, we get it, geez, and maybe I jumped to conclusions. It kind of hurt that he called me out like that. Like, I can take a negative comment, I really can, but just the way that was is like, calling the whole entire thing out. Like, if he said, "I've listened to y'all's podcast and y'all are terrible," then I would have been like, okay, thanks for the comment.
Then
How can we be better?
Then you would have turned the computer off and gone and cried.
For hours upon hours. So Clint being, the guy that he is, I got a little petty And when we recorded last week's episode, as soon as it went live, I tagged him in it. I went back to that post and I
know
tagged
I
him in
didn't
it.
know you were going to do that.
Well, I know. And again, I kind of went rogue and, and I called him a jerk and I flat out called him out on it. And we kind of went back and forth just a little bit, nothing major. And I just told him, hey, I'm just trying to get the podcast to grow, a couple listeners here, a couple listeners there. Actually does help. Well, and, we both kind of stopped, short of really apologizing to each other. And I told him, that I was petty and it was, and I did, apologize for that. And I told him I would give him a public apology. And this is it. The gentleman's name is Daniel. He actually came back and said, that he's actually listened to our podcast and thought that we actually did a pretty good job.
Like you say, he's a listener and he said it was terrible.
No, he said that we've done a good job and that he has enjoyed it. The thing was just every time he said that he had joined the group and every time he got onto a post, he saw me comment, "Hey, we got a podcast," and I would post a link to the game in question. And I told him, so well, it's only the games that we've played. It's not every game. And I said, I can't help it that we went to a string of games that everybody's talking about that we've actually done. So
maybe they're talking about it because we did it.
Possibly. I don't know. That could be it. I like to think of it that way. But anyway, Daniel actually, he said, listen to the podcast, it's actually pretty good. So then I messaged back. I said, sir, you've given us our first negative comment and our first real comment from somebody we don't know. So, all in all, he's been a pretty good guy. And so this is me coming back and saying, I did reach out to this gentleman and we, kind of made amends. Let bygones be bygones. That said, Daniel did, excuse me, send me a message on the Podbean app, which is who is our podcast host, and did ask a couple of questions. He listened to the Super Mario Brothers 2 episode, and this is what he had to say. He said, "Great take on the game as always, guys. Question for the upcoming show regarding WWF No Mercy. I was playing this game a week ago with my two oldest sons. They are from the PS4 generation. They couldn't get past the graphics no matter how much I tried to explain graphics don't make a great game. They couldn't look past it and see what makes the game amazing still to this day. The roster CAW system was very in-depth and the controls were near perfect for wrestling. Do you two ever have to defend retro gaming a lot like this?" With the younger generation, yes. But Hammy and I kind of touched on this outside of the podcast a little bit, where we were talking about this particular game doesn't have a lot of long-standing appeal to it, but then Hammy said it's graphics versus aesthetics, where Super Mario World will always look great 100 years from now, but like games like this visually may not hold up.
But my God, that gameplay does.
Absolutely. And we touched on it earlier in the podcast too, where the controls to me even now make this game. And obviously the nostalgia that goes with it, the creator wrestler that goes with it, where you can do all these awesome, crazy moves, makes a big difference as well. But if you're just not into a wrestling game, you're just not into a wrestling game. There's no way you can hold a candle between this game and WWE 2K20.
Well, I've got 2K19 and I've played a pretty good bit of it. And I can say that this game, to get to where you want to go in a match, a certain kind of match with who you want to play with, is so simple. It's so easy. It's so intuitive. It's just boom, it's done. It's overly complicated,
right? With
the 2K games, they're just and yeah, they look great. They do. They look amazing. But they don't. It just doesn't work. It's just they're not as well made.
And I think that they just put so much into the visuals of it that
it's all presentation.
Exactly.
That's it. There's no gameplay. But as far as his question, my youngest nephew is about to be 18. Holy crap!
You're old.
No, I'm not old. You're old. But you're only as old as you feel. If you feel old, you are old.
I'll agree to that.
I feel young.
I feel young on the days that I don't have to get up and go to work.
So anyway, I mean, when Shane McMahon is 50 years old and he's up there doing Shooting Stars.
Oh, dude, yeah,
You know
absolutely.
what? No, I'm 36. I'm not old. I'm not old at all.
And I will say, a shooting star, at 50 is way better than Billy Kidman at 29 or whatever time.
And there's a question coming up, I know, from Jeremy about something similar, and I'll address that later. But anyway, yeah, my youngest nephew, he's 17, about to be 18, but he has really taken to retro games.
Really?
So and I'm proud of that because he's the same generation, Well, actually, maybe the 360 generation or the PS3 generation.
Sure.
But he prefers the older games.
And I can see that, when we would get together and have our retro game nights, and I know we've said this time and time again on this podcast, we need to have another one. But when we would get together and have our retro game nights, I would have to go and fish out all this stuff that we've got in here now, put it in the living room, whatever. Well, there was one time when Maze got in there and he's like playing the regular Nintendo games and like, man, this is fun. It's simple.
Mm-hmm.
He was 5, 6 at the time or whatever. And he really enjoyed them. So we ended up hooking a lot of this stuff up in his room. And one of the ones that he kind of drifted toward was the Nintendo 64.
Oh, yeah. Star Fox 64.
Star Fox and Mario Kart. And I know it's not your favorite Mario Kart. I guess
it's still Mario Kart.
But still Mario Kart.
Better than the other racing game that doesn't have Mario Kart in it.
Outside of NASCAR 98, I'm playing, of course. But
I thought you were serious there for a second.
No,
so is that a good game? I don't know.
No. But yeah, he would enjoy them. Obviously, he's the current to, I guess, future generation kind of. He likes his Fortnite. He likes his Minecraft, and I get that. That's what all his buddies play, and he can play with them online. And I get all
Don't
that.
knock
I really
Minecraft.
do.
I do like Minecraft.
Well, and I got a story about that too. I got to tell you, but we're going through and he's playing all these games and is just loving them. And not once did he ever say, "Hey, it looks bad." It's fun. It's fun to play. And that's where it begins and that's where it ends with me.
Well, and I think, if you've got kids that can't get past the graphics, I'm sure I was the same way when I was a kid. Just, let them keep playing. They'll fall in love with it.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it's hard to go back to some games.
It is. And when we covered that on Mario 2 as well, because you said I grew up with Super Mario World for Super Nintendo, it's hard for me to go back to Super Mario Brothers 2.
Exactly. And my favorite game of all time, Ocarina of Time.
Sure. Nintendo 64.
Right. It's even hard for me sometimes to go back to it because of how it looks. I've got to play it for a little bit to get back into that mindset.
Right.
Especially if I'm coming from like Breath of the Wild or something.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know if that answers Daniel's question or not. I guess it kind of told him what we've run into with it. But,
yeah.
I know Casey, his son, who is a listener to the show. Hi, Tyler. He is about the same age as Maze, and he's gotten to where he plays a lot of retro games. So
big Zelda fan.
Big, huge.
I would consider my intellectual equal on Zelda games.
Interesting. Wish I had like a bubble pipe right now. I could. Interesting. But anyway, moving forward, you did bring up Jeremy just a little bit ago.
And thanks, Daniel. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Daniel.
Really do.
We do. Not in a very pushy way, but push the show to other people as well.
Well, and you've got your son playing WWF No Mercy, which means you're raising them right.
By gosh. But speaking of Jeremy, you mentioned a little bit earlier, AKA roast beef. Jeremy has a couple of questions that he asked on the Instagram post that we made earlier this week. Question number 1: what is your favorite finisher in the game?
Favorite finisher in the game? I still love the rock bottom. I guess because I love the rock.
Yeah. My favorite finisher in the game, just because anytime we ever was play wrestling, I would always do the arm bar.
Bar.
And then Jericho, back in his old school WCW days, had this promo where he talked about how he could do 1,004 moves compared to Dean Malenko's 1,001 moves, or holds rather. And like every 7th one was an arm bar. So I always did the arm bar.
Arm bar.
I always liked the clothesline from hell because the way that turned them inside out whenever you hit them.
And kitchen sink number 2 because it kind of does the same.
Right.
With your knee. But I guess those aren't finishers.
Right. I mean, the clothesline from hell was Bradshaw's for a long time before he became JBL.
Nah.
The DDT was always a good one. The stunner, you know, it was kind of that out of nowhere. I mean, I was not a huge Stone Cold fan. I mean, I know what he did for the business and, you know, how hot he was at the time and everything, but he wasn't my favorite. My favorite growing up was Mankind.
I was a big Stone Cold fan.
You know, hence why, you know,
Scorpion Death Drop,
right.
which is in the game.
It is.
Not a finisher, I don't think.
And before we get out here, we got to tell one or two wrestling stories from Clinton High School.
We will.
But yeah, that clothesline from hell, especially on SmackDown 2, was always my favorite because it was always that inside out clothesline. Power bombs are fun.
Well, Jeremy said when he would play this game, he won most of his matches with the clothesline from hell because it would knock him out.
Yeah, because it's always a KO, and that was always a neat thing about this kind of stuff too. Was, you know, just a quote unquote regular move could be a knockout move. So I'll probably have to go with clothesline for hell, really, because that's like the one move I want in every wrestling game. I always want it. I'll bounce off the ropes or throw them into the ropes and then run towards them and hit them with that one, and then that's where I usually do a lot of my damage, was that particular move. So that's probably mine. Question number 2. What was your favorite from the top rope move?
That'd be the shooting star.
You always love the shooting star.
It just looks so cool. And you talked about Kidman had the worst. He botched it more than he.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Kidman. You were a good wrestler on other aspects, but you really needed a different finish.
You know, he's a backstage guy with the WWE currently.
Really?
Yeah.
He just couldn't do it. I'll tell you I think the best shooting star is probably Ricochet. And it's not even his finisher.
Well, it's not his finisher, and then he does one from a standing position. He'll take off running and do one from a standing shooting star as well, which is crazy if you think about.
Evan Bourne had a good one.
You know who else had a good one?
Shane McMahon.
Brock Lesnar.
Almost died.
He really did.
Now, Shane McMahon had a pretty good one.
Yeah, if y'all go back and watch that WrestleMania, the number escapes me right now. I want to say it's like 20, 21 maybe, with Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar. They tore the house down with that, but they both lived with concussions that night. No, neither one of them knew what was going on.
You know who invented the shooting star?
Somebody from Alabama.
Jushin Thunder Liger, who just retired just a week or two ago.
Really?
Yep.
That's kind of sad.
It is.
Again, because I remember he was always my big international guy on WCW versus the World for PlayStation. Yeah, I believe he was on there.
And I love New Japan. I absolutely love it.
They
do great.
They do great stories in the match. They don't do stories outside of the ring. They tell their stories in the match.
They build it up. Like their plans for this was
Mhm.
months in advance. They knew exactly how this pay-per-view was going to go.
Right.
The Wrestle Kingdom. And I love the way they do that. The Wrestle Kingdom, the G1
it's like a 3-day event.
Yeah, 2 nights.
2 night. So, as the rain starts here, maybe this go around with us recording in the rain, y'all won't hear the rain in the background.
So what's your favorite from the top?
My favorite from the top, I always enjoyed in WCW Rey Mysterio's Hunra Kunrana from the top rope, where he would flip them inside out and do the pinning combination with it. That was cool and innovative back in the day.
Did you see the Dragon Rana on here?
I did. Nowadays, well, I guess he's actually asking specifically in the game.
Yeah.
I think mine was just like a diving headbutt. I mean, because that was like another one I always had to have. Because I know me, me being me, my size and everything, I can never do any of these weird corkscrew moonsault things or whatever. So I always kind of stuck with something that was kind of real for me.
And I like the swanton. I felt I could do a swanton.
I believe I could do a swanton at least once before I broke my back and never be able to walk again.
Yeah. Oh, I would die. Someone would die if I did a swanton. Now, if since we're on the topic, real life,
sure,
like top rope finishers nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I like Ricochet's, what's it called, the 9 or the 620 or something like that. Something
630, 630, I think it is.
I like Kairi Sane's elbow.
Yeah, that's a throwback to the Macho Man's elbow. She does a really good job.
It does.
And that's what I was going to say too, was like I've maybe or maybe not have done some top rope moves, and like you get up there and you're like, holy crap, that's a long way to the ground. And you're like, okay, because you have to hit just right. like for it not to like legitimately hurt you.
And she hit it through a table with the concussion.
Yeah.
At TLC.
Well, like if you ever go back and watch some of the stuff with Macho Man, when he would come off the rope, he would fall into you. He wouldn't like just come down. It was all elbow. It was like feet, knee, hip, elbow.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it always hit. You know, it looked painful, but the way he always hit, he always took care of you. And that's a big
It's all
thing
in the
too.
cell. It's all in the cell.
Oh yeah, it's all in the cell, and it's all about taking care of the guy. Because you got to think, even Finn Balor, his coup de grace from the top rope.
That's cool, man.
That is a grown man jumping from the top rope, which is what, 5 foot in the air.
Yeah.
You know, puts you 5 feet in the air from to the feet,
And then
you're jumping and then stomping on somebody's chest. Now he doesn't like just stomp and stay there. I mean, he collapses when he does it and tries to take care of the wrestler. But still, though, can you imagine 200 pounds? 200, because he's right at 200, 204 or something like that, coming off the top rope and stomping on you like that.
Now I can tell you top rope moves I don't like. Pac and AEW, I don't like his Red Arrow.
What is it?
It's a weird twist. It's like a shooting star, but he's twisting at the same time.
Okay.
I don't like it because he sits up there for like, it seems forever before he does it.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to, I understand why it's happening, because it's hard to do. He's got to, I guess, get it just right or he's going to botch it.
Yeah.
But it's an awkward amount of time where he's standing there and the guy's just laying there like, come on, man.
Yeah. Come on, let's get this over.
Whereas, you know, someone.
Which he's trying to protect himself. That way he doesn't botch it.
Exactly. It's just, if you get to a point, I think, when a move takes forever to do like that.
Because you're having to over calculate it and everything. Yeah.
Then do something else.
I tell you something that's super impressive, and not just because it's a female wrestler in Charlotte Flair, but when she gets up on that top rope and she does that backflip down.
Yeah, that moonsault.
And I know that they're catching her in a way to make sure she's safe.
Yeah.
That's still impressive, though.
Well, like E038, her moonsault's amazing.
Right. Women wrestling has come a long way from this right here.
It's awesome. But they don't hesitate. Like Kyrie saying, E038, they don't hesitate. They just go right for it because it's not a overly complicated move.
It's not overly complicated, and the risk versus, I won't say risk versus reward because we all know what wrestling is, but the risk of getting hurt versus hurting somebody else is kind of taken out because they kind of catch them.
Yeah.
And I complained about that when I was younger, but now that I'm 35, I kind of understand. Okay, I understand why they're catching them because they've got to do this night in, night out, all these different cities and everything else. So.
No, I think we answered that question.
Who's your favorite wrestler from the Attitude Era? I've already answered mine. Mick
Rock.
Foley, and well, you did too. You're the Rock. So, you're a big Sting guy, though. I know we're talking.
I was as far as in this game, yeah, Rock.
Yeah,
I'd put Rock and Sting on level ground.
Okay, I mean that's the kind of guys, the flag bearers for this time.
I'll be honest, Sting lost momentum for me when he lost to Goldberg, which apparently Goldberg fought to put Sting over in that match.
Oh, really?
He is Sting's hometown too.
Oh, wow.
He begged him. He said, "Please let Sting win. I don't want to do this."
Yeah. Well, to each their own with Goldberg. Later in life, I can appreciate Jericho, the stuff that he did in WCW and even WWF. Triple H, man. I know people give him a hard time because he's in the family, quote unquote, the family, but that guy's done a lot in his career.
He has.
And what he actually had to endure. And
what he's doing now in NXT is just as impressive.
I mean, I can't wait for him to take over WWE and be able to do some of this stuff.
I hope he does.
Hey, XFL's right around the corner. Vinnie Mac's got to choose one or the other, right?
Please retire.
Go to XFL.
You've done great. You got us to the Attitude Era, but it's time to step on.
Well,
step by and let someone else take it.
A lot of people may not know the curtain call incident. I know you and I do, where they kind of broke kayfabe that night. Triple H caught the brunt of all of that.
Oh yeah, with the click.
Yeah, because Hall was gone, Nash was gone, Shawn was a champion. X-Pac was going to be gone not long after that. And Triple H was the scapegoat for it, and he ate S-word for a year and a half before he finally was able to get out of it. I mean, I've
heard he's super careful in the ring too.
Oh yeah, everybody loves working with Triple H because he is a very professional guy in the ring. So, But that kind of does it on that point. But I do want to get out of here.
Man, we're wrestling nerds.
we really are. I mean, there's a lot of nerdism here when it comes to wrestling, as well as it is for video games. But and Simpsons. But before we do, I do want to say my favorite wrestler back in the day was Mick Foley, and we used to do this thing in high school called Move of the Day, where we would go to lunch, and Justin, who you heard on the
Christmas
Vacation podcast, he would go and get the keys from our teacher, who will remain nameless for reasons.
She listen to this?
Maybe. I'm sure she does. Miss G. I think we called her Miss G one time.
Love you, Miss G.
There you go.
We would race back.
He would get the keys and we would race back. So it's me, Hammy, and Justin would race back. And then, like, as we did this, other kids would kind of get involved too. But we would race back, and Hammy would do a move to me on the floor in the concrete. There's one time I got pedigreed,
which was botched.
There was one time, I mean, there was all kind of stuff, but there was one in particular where Hammy made up a new move that he had saw.
This was the night before on WCW Thunder.
Yep. We saw VN04 die in the ring.
It was Chris Canyon and Raven versus Vanillo.
Yeah.
4 and 5.
Right. You can't tell them apart.
They did a move where it was a powerbomb neckbreaker combo that probably ended Vanilla 4 or 5's career.
Vanillo.
They stopped the match.
Yeah, they stopped the match. And Hammy's like, all right, Clint.
The next day, we got to do this too.
Yeah, next day they did it too.
So we got Casey, a.k.a. Baloney.
Right, so Justin runs and gets the keys. We go into the room. We're completely, it's just us, probably, 4 of us in there. Well, then I just willingly let Hammy pick me up in a powerbomb position, and then Casey gets in the neck breaker position. And instead of going all the way to the floor like a traditional neck breaker, Casey goes down to his butt, kind of like a stunner, and Clint's folded up like a pretzel.
It looked better than what actually happened on Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, it looked way better.
And hey, it didn't end your career.
It hurt. Y'all all thought y'all killed me. I'll put it that way. We did have to move desks because she had those big desks, the big graph paper desk that were in there, the big top desk. So we had to move all the desks out of the way to do it. And then she comes in and is like, what happened? What's wrong with Clint? Why is he on the floor? And eventually, I don't want to say I came to. I wasn't knocked out, but eventually, like, the pain subsided enough that I could get back in my chair.
Because we didn't fully grasp how
we didn't
to fake a move or sell it.
Right. So,
but we came up with a name for that move because it didn't have a name on WCW Thunder. So
it was just a powerbomb.
We decided to call it the Banana Bash.
Yeah. So Casey, Banana Bash, that was for you, buddy. And when we did our,
why do we name it that?
I don't know. And then whenever we did our SmackDown 2 episode, the Nefarious Cousin Jimmy listened to it, and he kind of got on to me that we didn't talk about this. Whenever we were growing up, you know, he knew how big of a wrestling fan I was, and he too was as well. We he had 3 or 4 trees in his yard that were kind of almost in a square shape, and he would take like just regular nylon rope and wrap it around and have 3. So we had a ring, but obviously it's nylon rope, not like actual rope, or like, you know, wrestling rope. So it had no bounce to it or anything. So we would like kind of run up against it and then come back, you know, willingly run back and forth and do wrestling moves to each other.
I'm angry I didn't know about that.
Well, there was one time we made a makeshift table. We took 4.
You made a makeshift table.
We made a makeshift table. We took like 4 2x4s and a piece of plywood and made a table. And we put it on the end of his porch. And I don't know if it's been a while since you've been over there. It was the high end of his porch.
Yeah.
And like, we didn't videotape it. We didn't have the technology to videotape it at the time.
That's what's funny. All these kids do stuff today so they can record it and show it to their friends. We were just doing it because we're idiots.
Yeah. And we thought it was fun.
We knew no one else in the world would ever see this. It was between us and God. That's
exactly. It. Well, this was like a 1/4-inch plywood board. So it wasn't super, super thick. Well, like, he took a scrap of it, and I let him hit me over the head with it because I didn't know any better. Unprotected headshot, and you know, I fell off the porch backwards.
You're the
through
reason
the table.
Clint, you're the reason they have to have all these disclaimers now.
No, because I didn't get injured doing it. So thankfully, I didn't get injured.
No, you
doing
just
it,
didn't go
but-
to the doctor after it happened.
What? So yeah, those are a couple more wrestling stories. Hopefully, when we get to, your a revenge review or maybe WCW versus
I'd say
NWO.
Day of Reckoning.
Okay, maybe a Day of Reckoning because we need to do another GameCube game as well. So when we get there, maybe we have some more stories if I can remember them. Maybe we'll tell the Rocker Room story then. I don't think we told that one, did we?
No.
I might need to go back and listen to
Maybe
that one.
may need a wrestling bonus episode. Yeah, it just hit me. We didn't do all this stuff. If imagine if we had like YouTube
Now.
or Vine,
Sure.
which I don't think anyone has Vine anymore. If we'd had
I
YouTube,
think you're a little too old school there, buddy.
YouTube or whatever back then, how crazy we would have gone. I mean, we were doing all this just for
Spanish videos.
Oh man, if we'd had camera phones,
If we had camera phones, it would have been over. But we actually did video. We actually did films for class with me doing this stuff.
I remember that we need to find those.
We do need to find those. Maybe
Probably need permission from everyone else in the video
probably
to post it on YouTube.
because I did my Spanish video and I did Justin's Spanish video. We did stuff like that. Golly, we were so stupid.
We were mostly you,
Mostly me, but y'all were stupid for letting me do it.
but
How
that's
about
true.
that? So
Yeah,
anyway, well, that was this week's episode. Next week though.
excited about next week.
Hammy's pretty excited about this one. This was actually on your list too. No, you said the
I
original.
took it off because I knew that we were going to
Do this episode.
Yeah, because it's going to happen. I've wanted to beat this game with you for probably over 10 years now.
Oh yeah. So the game in question is
Jurassic Park 2: The Chaos Continues.
for Super Nintendo. So we're going to go back to Jurassic Park, which I don't know why, just like they do in the movies, they keep going back. But we're going to go back to Jurassic Park and kind of relive some memories that we have there. One in particular, and we'll get into it when we get there. So join us next week when we talk about that game. Hang around for the gameplay. We're hoping to get a little bit more in-depth gameplay video out there, and then of course go subscribe, like, listen, tell a friend, telegraph. People use telegraphs anymore? I don't know.
And just make a post on any social media.
Sure, help us grow the show a little bit.
Anything, just say hashtag ham and spam.
There you go. There you go.
That's how you get it started.
Okay, well, so if anybody sees a post that says hashtag ham and spam in the post, it was me because I don't know how this works. So, sorry. I love you, Hammy. But yeah, go check out our YouTube videos. Listen to some of our past episodes for you new guys. Suggest it to someone. Share it on your Facebook, on your Instagram, whatever. It posts everywhere. So thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week.
More than a minute.